Hi everybody, it's Claire and welcome to a little bit of an impromptu tutorial. You'll see I've got my beautiful Ivy and the Inky Butterfly book open by Johanna Basford. I posted some whip on this beautiful page yesterday, so a lot of you might have seen the background. So I posted just the moonlight sky, the sea and the moon, and the posts which I put on quite a few of the Facebook sites, so including our own Your Pages group. I put it on Creating Colour with Claire Edie. I think I put it on Lynette's group, the Johanna Basford Gallery, and I put it on Passionista Colorista as well. And you guys went bananas. It was mad. It was absolutely mad. So thank you so much for all of that brilliant feedback, hence the tutorial today. So what we're going to be doing today is looking at how I created this beautiful silvery moon, and we're also going to be looking at the sea. The technique to do the sea, I have just recently released a technique to do this. It was in a river scene. I'm going to show you some of the pages I've got underneath in a moment. But this is a different colour palette. So for all it's the same technique, you guys have shown so much interest, I thought it merited just kind of revisiting that technique, but with this moonlight palette. Okay, so what I've got underneath is, and we're going to come back to this for reference shortly, but what I've got underneath is the original technique that I created for capturing water, light on water. I think you can still see that, yeah, that I've got underneath, is this beautiful wreath page from Johanna Basford's World of Flowers. And this was the page that she dedicated to our Facebook group, the Your Pages group. And you may have seen that I've just released a 5-part tutorial on this full page. But this was the first time that I'd developed this technique for capturing light on water. So there is a tutorial with these colour palettes on. But like I say, you showed so much interest in the moonlight, I thought it was worth revisiting it, but with a different palette. And I have also, which you might want to see, just recently used the technique again on the Your Pages collaboration wreath. So if I just move that up slightly for you. So this beautiful wreath was created in a mega event, a month-long event on the Your Pages site. And what we did was we decided that because it was Johanna's birthday on the 15th of April, that we would have our first month-long event that ran from the 15th of April to the 15th of May. And what we asked our members to do was to draw and submit their own individual flowers. So that was the first part of the event. And then the second part, I created a wreath out of all of the beautiful flower drawings that the ladies submitted, and made it available as a PDF on the Your Pages site for us all to colour in as the second part of that month's event. The background that you see is my own bespoke background. I added it in, but you can see here that I've just used that light reflection on the water to capture the light coming from the windows, which is quite a nice use of it as well. So it doesn't have to be the sunshine that you capture. You can capture any form of light with this technique. Okay, so let me just put that to one side as well. You can see underneath that I've got a little bit of prep, and at this point I think I'm going to zoom you out a little bit. Okay, there. So I've done a little bit of prep. So you can see I've just taken a pencil and a compass and drew myself a very simple circular pattern for the moon in the middle. What I've done is I've just taken it over the corner of this beautiful hanging bluebell, I think it is, just for interest, so that the bluebell hangs slightly in front of the moon. Okay, now this has just had a first coat of Coliro paint, and I'll get to that in a moment, but let me just tell you about some other things first that I'm not going to cover in this tutorial, but are covered in other tutorials, which I will reference in the description for this one. So let me just refer you back to this for a second. So you can see the beautiful sky here. What I will do is I will put in the tutorial for advanced blending in the description of this one, because that's Basically, all it is, it's just a blended sky. And just quickly for reference, again, which I will write down, don't worry about writing these down. So the palette for that, going from dark to light, was black. And these are Prismacolor pencils, which is PC935, Indanthrone Blue, which is PC208. Then we had Denim Blue, which is PC1101. We had China Blue, which is PC1100. Then I had Caribbean Sea, which is PC1103. And then my lightest of the blue, which is on the horizon line, is Blue Lake, which is, oh no, sorry, I've got those the wrong way around. I do beg your pardon. The Blue Lake is PC1102, and then the lightest, which is on the horizon line, is the Caribbean Sea, which is PC1103. Okay? And what I also did, if I just grab this back again, you can see I've put in some lovely fluffy little clouds. You may just be able to pick those up. And that is simply created by using a white Posca paint pen. So the one that I used is a PC-1MR. It's a 0.7mm nib, and all I did was just dab some on very gently and literally just squished it with my little finger to make those little tiny fluffy clouds. Really, really easy, and you've probably seen me do that before in several tutorials. Okay, now then, let's have a look at finishing off this moon first. So the silver that I use is actually silver watercolour paints, and these are my, if I turn them right way up, these are my silver and gold sets of Coliro metallic watercolour paints. This actual set you can't buy. What I did was, you can buy this set here, this bottom set, as a set of 6 from the coliro.de website. It's cheaper than Amazon. And then I just, these all individual colours that I bought separately that I just put into this 12-pack palette. And the one that I've been using is this beautiful sterling silver colour. And I've just put paint on the top of my finger because it's wet. Okay, so again, there's a tutorial for using these paints. I will reference that in the description for this one, because I don't want to go over that. The whole point of this is to show you how I created the creators, and then we'll do the sea. Okay, so in prep, I've just given this a first coat, and normally one coat would be enough, to be fair, because if you mix them up right and you get them thick enough, one coat would be enough. However, in this picture, this circle covers 3 stars. So like these, Johanna has got 3 stars here, which I've covered up, but one coat doesn't quite get rid of them. So I've had my paint wet and thickening up for a little while, as you saw, because I got some on my finger. I'm just going to re-wet it slightly, and what I've got here is just a 3-0 fine tip brush. Okay, doesn't have to be any brand, it just has to have, you know, quite a fine tip. Okay, and we're going to give this a second coat. So as I say, I've already had the water on this sterling silver, and it's been thickening up nicely. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to give this a second coat, just so that we don't see those stars that are inked in underneath. Okay. And then, while this coat is wet, I'll show you how I did the craters. Because I did play around with several techniques. What I thought of doing originally was leaving gaps, kind of random shape crater gaps, and then colouring them in grey pencil, but it didn't work very well. So I went back to the drawing board, and what works better is just putting a tiny bit of black paint while the silver's still wet. And when I mean tiny, I mean teeny tiny. Okay, how does that look? Yeah, that looks quite good. You might just be able to see one there, which I'm going to cover up very slightly. and then I'll show you the magic of the craters. Okay. Now then, I'm going to go to a smaller brush, believe it or not. I'm just going to clean that one off. I've got a little cup full of water here. So I'm going to clean that one off, put that back in my brush rack. What I've got here is an even smaller 4-0. Again, it doesn't have to be any brand, it just needs to be a really, really, really fine tip, because we hardly want any of this black on the page. Okay, now I haven't had this soaking because we don't need to use an awful lot of it. I'm going to be using this black pearl here, this black pearl colour. So I'm just going to wet the tip of my brush very slightly. And I'm just going to fill up the tip of this tiny brush in this black pearl. And this is why I didn't need to soak this and wet this paint and make it thicken beforehand, because you need a tiny, tiny amount. Okay, so that brush is full of that paint. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally kind of at random just dab, and if you need to re-wet your brush slightly, do, because it's just a tiny tip and it'll hold very little water. And can you see, because this is still wet underneath, it's kind of escaping out over. And then what I'm going to do is, to make it even more subtle, I'm going to clean my brush and I'm just going to have clean water on the end. And I'm just going to make it disappear a little bit more and turn that black into like a dark grey crater. Okay, and the beauty of that is it can be completely random. I'm sure you've all seen the craters on the moon. They're pretty random. Okay, so maybe put some other ones in down here just to repeat the process. Can you see that? Zoom in. That might be a bit better for you. Let me repeat that. Okay, so like I say, I'm loading up the tip of my brush with black pearl. Okay, and then I'm just dabbing on the black. And remember, this silver underneath is still slightly wet, which helps us. You don't want this silver completely dry when you put the craters on. Cleaning my brush. All I've got on the end of this brush now is clean water. And I'm just going to fade that away into a lovely deep crater. And if you think that you've gone a bit too dark with your black, don't panic. What we do is, and I'll show you, we just go back to the sterling silver, load the tip of the brush up, and if there's areas where you think it's too dark, just dab on some more sterling silver over the top. Okay, do some on this side, I think. Just one more. Loading up the tip with black pearl. Dabbing some shapes on. Clean the brush. Get some clean water only on the tip. And just dab that away into a lovely dark grey. And that gives you a beautiful silvery moon with realistic craters. Easy. Now then, let me put these paints to one side because we don't need these anymore. I'm going to clean my brush and put it away, and then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move the water because I'm clumsy and I don't want it spilt on the page. Okay, so I'm just going to put this behind me. Right, zooming out again and zooming out again slightly for this. Okay. So we're going to be working here So you can leave this to dry. This will take a couple of minutes to dry, because you don't want to be working up here when this is still wet, because you'll get it on your hand and it'll go everywhere. Believe me, experience. What I'm going to do is I've just got my 0.2 nib Staedtler black pigment fine liner. This is the exact pen that Johanna uses to ink her books. This is why I use it, so that when if I have to go over any lines, it gives me the exact thickness. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, on the tip of this little bluebell, just where I've caught it slightly with the silver paint, I'm just going to re-outline that there. Okay? Now, what you might not be able to see is I've got a very, very faint pencil horizon line just going across the middle of this page. Okay? She says, and I've just put a black mark on there off my finger. There we go. Now then, and I'm not going to put this directly on there because it's still wet. So you can see there that I've got a horizon line. Okay, now what we're going to start with is, and what I had to think about is, look at the sky. The sky is blue, albeit cool blues. The sky is a palette of cool blues. The sea is a palette of warm blues and aquas. But blue on blue, I thought long and hard, we're going to need a kind of little tiny separator. So what we're going to start by doing is, can you see the canary yellow line on the horizon? Can you see that? That's what I decided would be the best way to break up the blues of the sky and the blues of the ocean. Okay, so we're going to start with that. So I have my canary yellow, which is PC916. And all I'm going to do is, I'm going to start directly underneath the moon in quite a firm touch. And just maybe about 1 millimetre wide. Put a little line there, okay? And then, because the moonlight would kind of steadily, evaporate's not the right word, would steadily get weaker as it goes out here, we don't want as much yellow as it gets further away from the light source. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each side, but I'm going to make my line slightly thinner and slightly weaker as I get to the sides. Can you see? So that it really makes you concentrate on the light that's underneath the moon. But it still does the job of breaking up the sky from the sea. Okay? Okay, so we have our horizon line. And I think what I might do is, give me just a second, because the light above me is creating a little bit of shadow. Is that better? Is that better? That is better, isn't it? Yes. So I can put my canary yellow to one side. Okay? Now we're going to create the ocean with the same technique that we used to create the river in the other wreath scene. Okay? And I'm going to need to grab my black first. So let me take you through what I have. I have my black. So this is going from dark to light. I have Indigo Blue. So again, this is a slightly different blue palette. These are warm blues and aquas. Then I have Copenhagen Blue, which is PC906. I have Cobalt Turquoise, which is PC105. I have Cerulean Blue, which is, oh, I don't know, it's covered up, but it's Cerulean Blue, because this is a free stock, so it's got a barcode on the bottom. Then I've got my light aqua, which is PC992. I have my cloud blue, which is PC1023. And then I have my trusty old Derwent Drawing Chinese White 7200, which we're going to use as a blender pencil. And you'll have seen me use this before. I like this better than my white Prismacolor pencil because it's just that much, just seems silly. And I know it sounds silly, but it just seems whiter. It seems whiter than the white one in the Prismas, if that makes sense at all. And then the very last piece of kit we will need right for the end to create the little breakers on the waves. I've just got a white gel pen. It doesn't have to be any brand. This is a Pentel. It's a hybrid gel pen. What nib is it? It's a 1.0 millimeter ball tip. You don't have to have any type of white gel pen. Any will do for the purpose that we're going to use it for. Okay? So we are going to start with the dark colours. So I'm going to start with black. And this is where you have to be brave, because putting black on the page can be quite intimidating. And I'm going to make my pencil quite sharp. Okay? So just take a second to think about this light source. So the part of the ocean, if I just grab this for reference again, can you see the ocean as it gets further away from the moonlight gets darker? And it would do, because the moonlight on the water would be the brightest bit, and then it would gradually fade back into the deep blues of the sea. Okay, so we are going to start on the outsides with black, and what we're going to do is firm horizontal strokes. Okay, so we don't want to be doing this, we don't want to be doing scumbling. All we're going to be doing is random strokes, horizontal strokes, firm pressure. Okay, and we're going to keep this deepest colour to the outsides. And you're going to need to take it up in some areas up to the edge. And this is a completely random pattern, which is quite nice, because if you try this, your sea will be different to my sea. Somebody else trying it will have a different sea again. All individual, which is what I like about this, because there's some element of just making things that little bit your own. Okay? And you want your pencils quite sharp, because you need these lines to be pretty thin. Okay? Absolutely random. And I'm just going to take it up to the edge slightly in places. And careful of this tiny little leaf. Okay, then we're going to start again on the other side. And what I'm going to do is, because going up to these lines, you know, takes quite a bit of time, I'll probably just, let me show you, I'll kind of go up to them, but I won't colour into them, because otherwise we'd be here forever. And can you see how I'm gradually making a V shape? Horizontal strokes. And the sea that you saw in the picture took me about 20 minutes tops. So for such a fabulous effect, it's easy and it's quick, which is what I try to stick to in my tutorials for you. You don't have to be Van Gogh to do these things. Okay, so I'll put the black to one side. Then we are going to go to our very deep blue, which is Indigo Blue. Okay, and we're going to follow the pattern. Easy as that. We're going to follow the pattern. I'm going to sharpen it up. Just being careful not to go over the lovely canary yellow we put in. And again, this is one of the darker colours, so I'm keeping it to the outsides. But you don't have to fill in every single space with the darkest colours. Can you see here? I've got some little light colours right at the outside. But as long as they're in the minority, you'll still get the effect. So I'm going to take it slightly further in. And what I'm doing is I'm just blending as I'm going. So I'm kind of slightly going over the black. And because I'm using a firm pressure, they just blend. These Prismacolors, they just blend on their own. The only reason I've got a white blender pencil out is for when we get to the very centre. Okay, so I'm just going to follow these patterns. So if you've seen my red velvet curtain tutorial, you'll realise it's very similar to that. It's just that this, we use random horizontal strokes instead of vertical strokes. And because you're using the different colours in random places, somehow it gives the water movement, it gives it depth, and it gives it depth of ripples. And I just think It's really simple, and I've used it quite a few times now in the last couple of months because it's so effective and it's got so many uses. So I've just got an electric pencil sharpener that you can't see. So just bear with me and we'll follow the patterns on this side. Firm pressure, pushing on quite hard. Taking it slightly further into the middle than the black. Again, just being careful of this lovely canary yellow horizon line. And you don't have to cover or go up to every single bit of black because your other colours will blend into the black as well. Okay, let me put that down. Then I think we'll go to Copenhagen blue. Okay. So, again, I'm going to follow the pattern. Again, just taking it slightly further into the middle. So can you see already, because we're adding different shades, the water already looks like it's starting to have movement, which is what we want. I know we did this for the river, but this is a different palette, and like I say, you showed that much interest in it. And it was very difficult for me to say no to the cries of tutorial, tutorial. See, you have me wrapped around your little finger, you lot. And when something's this easy that you know people will be able to replicate, it is actually quite nice to share. Now we're going to go to some aquas. We're going to go to Cobalt Turquoise. And again, it's quite a deep colour, so I'm keeping it towards the outside. Firm strokes, so that I'm blending as I go along. But they are gradually getting lighter in colour, so I am gradually pulling it into the middle. And I think the looser your strokes are, the more random your strokes are, so the quicker you go, actually the better it is, because for all you're using horizontal strokes, you want them to be quite loose. The more you think about it, sometimes, I think the more you lose the, you know, kind of the rhythm in your wrist. And certainly when I come to put the waves in, that is the same as well. You need, you just need not to think about it too much. This is the lightest of our, no, sorry, it's not the lightest of our blues, it's the second lightest of our blues. It's Cerulean Blue. So I'm just going to finish off these edges like that. Like I say, I'm not going to worry too much about this detail over here because you can do it at your leisure. You can hear probably the table shaking because I'm pressing on hard. Okay, then we're going to go to light aqua, which is 992. Be careful, we don't want all of this filled in, so this colour won't get very much. And when I said it took 20 minutes tops, now you believe me, don't you? Clearly I'm doing it quicker than I did when I was doing it on my own, because I was being, you know, like really careful as I'm going around here, but you can see how quick it is. Now what we're going to do is we are going to, how's that looking? That's looking really good. It's looking really good. Okay, we're going to, this is our lightest blue, which is cloud blue, which is 1023. Be careful just to keep leaving some white, because that is going to give us our moonshine. I think moonshine has a completely different meaning in America, but never mind. Okay, now the magic. Chinese white. In these white areas, horizontal strokes, firm pressure, I am just going to rub over the rest. Look at that. Moonshine. Moonshine on the water. One last little touch, our white gel pen, to make sure the tip's clean. And this is what I mean about having a bit of a loose wrist, because the little, I'm using it at quite a steep angle, the little breakers just need, you know, kind of like a little, the more you think about it, I think the more staid and the more unnatural it can probably be. You just need a really light touch and not to think about it too much. And there we have it. How easy was that? Again, any questions, give me a ring. Give me a ring? You won't be able to give me a ring. You'll be able to message me. And I hope you give it a go. Just to kind of say, I won't be doing a tutorial on these outside flowers, but the idea that I had was that I would catch the moonlight on the leaves and on the flowers. So all I did was, with the palettes that I used, I made sure that the bits that were closer to the moon had the lightest colours, so it just gives you the effect that the moonlight's shining through, and it's just catching off these lovely flowers and leaves. As you get to the outside, it gets darker. Okay, rightio. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a go. Bye for now.